welcome. It's another Friday here, and would you believe it, 16 days into the holy month, and so Ramadan Kareem. I'm hanging out with my colleagues, so let's quickly meet and greet them. I have, as always, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. I greet you.
I greet you, Citizen Jones.
Tunde Abaton is here. I greet you too. And assalamu alaikum to Boyega Akosile.
Yeah.
I greet you.
Wa alaikum salam.
Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay then, in the program this week, or this Friday, President Buhari signs the not too young to run bill into law. Senate attacks former INEC boss Jega over bribery accusation. Boko Haram kills 5 soldiers after a deadly ambush as Nigerian troops retake 5 occupied villages. And later on, we'll share this with you. Zinedine Zidane, they call him Zizo, quits Real Madrid after making Champions League history. Okay, the team is ready. I hope you are. Okay then, young people have one thing in common. They have plenty of hope for the future, regardless of the challenges in life. They also have the capacity to dream big, but then the youth require mentorship in politics and leadership to act out their dream. In a peculiar jurisdiction replete with giant protectors of the status quo and fraternities nurtured in the main by the youth, it remains to be seen how ready the younger generation is ready for leadership, especially at the topmost levels. The not too young to run bill is now law, and it seeks to peg the age limit for running for elective office in this country. It was passed by the Senate late last year, overwhelmingly, and the president has signed it into law. But who's young are we talking about here, Jide? Do you know?
Who's what?
Who's young are we talking about?
Nigerians young.
Okay. You want to break that down?
Nigerians young. I think that for a lot of young people who are exposed, who see what is happening in other lands, especially in Europe and America, even Australia these days, young people are being thrust onto opportunities of leadership.
They undergo a tutelage.
Yes, even here in Nigeria, young people undergo tutelage, but most times they do not get the opportunity because the older people are more influential and they've got the money, to spend and take the spoils of office. So if we look at global trends, leaders, I imagine these days in their early 40s. Remember Miliband and Miliband and his partner in the UK. They were in their 40s.
Okay. The Canadian guy?
No, the Prime Minister of UK.
Okay.
And his partner Miliband at that time. They were both in their 40s, early 40s, and
but they grew through the ranks.
People grow through the ranks even here. All the big politicians that you see, they do not operate without young people working for them. It is the Nigerians young.
But many of these big politicians today, to quote you,
yes,
many of them are now professional. They barged in, and today they are big.
No, they didn't. Most of them didn't barge in. They just saw opportunities and they exploited the opportunities that they had. For example, when Bukola Saraki became governor in Kwara, he didn't barge in. His dad was the most powerful politician in that state at that time, and he paved the way for his son to become governor. So that is the thing. That is what happened.
And paved the way.
He paved the way. He paved the way because he determined who, from the time when I was a little boy, the late Oloye Saraki was the person determining who became governor, or who became anything in Kwara politics.
So whoever he picked, and I want to be educated. So yes, whoever he picked,
will become
even if the fellow was not political,
even if
politically savvy.
Let me tell you, when he picked Adamu Atta, in 1978, and he became governor of Kwara. Adamu Atta was based in Ghana. The people of Kwara did not even know him. But he sold him to the people.
Which is what I'm saying.
Yes, he sold him to the people. So you will not be able to say that Adamu Atta went through some tutelage. In the case of Bukola Saraki,
or that he was...
No, not barging in. It's not that easy to barge in. It's not
foisted.
Yes.
Somebody, this is very interesting.
People can be foisted on the citizenry.
Okay.
But it is not the same thing as saying they barged in.
Okay.
If you barged in, that means you did it your own way. You forced yourself on the people. But it is not military era that we are talking about. It's civilian. Before you can get someone to become governor, you need to achieve unanimity. You need to get people to support you. And those influential politicians always have power people behind them. Those power people will agree with them that, okay, this is the person that we want as governor. This is the person that we want as local government chairman. We are saying that the opportunities for young people in Nigeria to become something are limited. The opportunities even for exposed Nigerians who have worked in the blue chip companies, whose experience will be beneficial to us in the National Assembly and other places, are limited. So whatever we can do in terms of our laws and all that to make things easier for people whose know-how will benefit us in Abuja, we just need to do it. And I think that
Abuja and beyond.
Abuja and beyond. And I think this is the right step.
Boyega, let's tear the bag open now. The law reduces the age qualification for president from 40 to 35 years.
Yeah. Well,
so I'm envisaging a 35-year-old president.
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing bad with it at all. I think we've just institutionalized it by making it legal, having constitutional backing. Before now, let's take our minds back to the founding fathers of Nigeria. How old were they when they fought for independent Nigeria? How old? How old was late Anthony Enahoro when he moved the first motion for the independence of Nigeria? He was in his 20s.
I'm interested in that thread. Go on. I'm following the thread.
So he was in his 20s. And he had huge sense of responsibilities at that time. How old was late Chief Obafemi Awolowo when he became the leader of the Yoruba race, eventually becoming the premier of the southwest of Nigeria? They were in their late 30s
into early 40s.
Into early 40s.
I agree.
So, for me, when this not too young to run bill, was, I just said that it's as if we've lost a sense of history in Nigeria.
Yeah.
The founding fathers, the leaders of Nigeria, the politicians of note in Nigeria. How old was Abubakar Tafawa Balewa then? Even in the military, how old was General Gowon? General Gowon, General Gowon became Prime Minister. General Gowon, was married. Nigerian state married for General Gowon.
Na soja.
At the age of 31.
At the age of 31, sir.
Going to 32. But that's military.
And
even if you are talking about that, we've seen people in their 20s become head of state in Liberia, in Sierra Leone.
Exactly.
But that's military. But our constitution stipulates if you don't get to this age, 45, you can't contest. That's the issue.
So, but that's what I'm saying, that it's a good thing that we've, institutionalized it, that look, you can actually run for the position of president at the age of 35, which to me is a very good one. We look, blue chip companies like Editor Jide mentioned earlier on, how many of them will hire a 50-year-old? do you know that sometimes I see some advertorials in the papers, and I feel like, oh, I'm qualified, for this job, but I'll quickly remind myself of my age. You understand?
So
how many of them?
Don't attempt to mislead me here. Being president has nothing to do with being savvy at the computer or running a blue chip company.
I think
Please, there are two different things.
No, they're not. They're not entirely different.
Come on. You don't pick a man who heads PZ company to be president who has not gone through the mill, does not understand the footwork, experience.
I'll need to disabuse, sir. I'll need to disabuse your mind there.
Yeah.
A lot of times, post Bola Ahmed Tinubu, most of the people who have who have governed Lagos, either at the level of governor or gone to the Senate or even local government, most of them did not have prior experience. Do you know what that politician will tell them? He will tell them that, look, you will teach him, he will learn on the job.
That's it.
And most of them are performing excellently well.
Politics is a different kettle of fish. That's the point I'm making. Tunde cannot be easily fooled. Jide, no. I'm using the word loosely, as a loose term.
Okay.
Tunde knows that, agrees with Jide and you, that yes, how old was Awolowo and so on. And Tunde would agree that Chinua Achebe wrote Things Fall Apart at 28. So we are looking at...
And Matthew Mbu became...
at 23. 22. Good. So how many 22 years? We are looking at two different timelines now.
Well, I think basically there are three things that we have to look at. Now in Nigeria, we have children of 20 years becoming university graduates, having first degree. But by and large, I think the most important thing is a question of interest. Because no matter how liberal the law is, if the youth are not interested in going into politics, if you don't become a member of the party, you cannot know how it is done. And it is when you get to that particular...
I could remember when I left secondary school. The footwork.
Let me tell you something. When I left secondary school, getting involved. When I left secondary school, I was a member of the UPN, youth wing of the UPN. The anthem of the UPN was then to us better than that of Nigeria. We were participating in everything, right from that particular level to the world level, to every other thing. So if I had stayed...
You aped an old him.
Oh, him. Yes, if I had stayed, because I left secondary school when I was 19, by the time I was 24, I was very much conscious about the history of Nigeria. Yeah. So it's a question of the interest. But by and large, when the military came in, they will appoint their family, their girlfriends. A lot of people lost interest in politics. And when you see what happened during the Babangida era, I want to tell you why the youth are no more interested. He imposed a lot of ideology on Nigeria. The first set of people who registered parties, he banned those parties. They lost money, they lost of things, and set up his own party. During that particular period, he has disenfranchised a quite number of people who have money and resources to remain in politics. Most of them left politics. So what happens now is that when we get the youth to be interested in politics, when they join politics, you cannot just be called outside. A leader must discover something in you to be able to entrust you to either go to the House of Assembly, which you can go to at the age of 25 or age of 30. After that, we talk of exposure. Then it is your exposure that will now show whether you are experienced enough to be a member of the House of Assembly, to be a commissioner. After Rashid Gbagadamosi became a commissioner at the age of 22. So what we are saying now is that the combination of all these things together,
so
by the time you are 30,
you are taking me back to a generation that's far, far flung. We have a different generation now.
Well, I know, but now it is possible to get a graduate at the age of 20.
I think you see,
so I think from the age of 20, by the time you have 15 years and you stayed in a particular party, you will have known how it's done.
I'm still old-fashioned.
No, I don't want to call you old-fashioned. I think you have something...
I think it's better now than then.
I think it's a lot better now.
It's better now than in terms of...
No, but the youth of today... He said something which is not lost on you.
The youths of today,
you have to join, grow.
Yeah, I understand. But do they have to join APC or PDP?
No.
Okay, good. Fine. So they can actually float their own political association and be, part of their own political groups. So, and run through the process, political process. So the most important thing that we need to take away from this is that the youth of today are a lot more discerning, because of the, I noted it, because of technology.
Apolitical.
They are largely apolitical.
They are largely apolitical. That is the problem.
That is the problem.
They are largely apolitical because if they remain apolitical and just interested in music, betting and other things.
The old
Look, they will not be able to seize power. They will not be able to seize power from the older generation, and they have the voting strength.
Yeah. Oh, they
And they will even be better. You are right.
In terms of population.
I wonder what goes through your mind. You find a 50-year-old man wearing earrings. And so on.
Well,
maybe it
that's
has
his-
got
that's
to
his-
do.
why did the senators not reduce the age for governor, for anyone who wants to become governor, or anyone who wants to become a senator, as proposed by the authors of the bill?
Yeah.
So there, you have a situation in which who can aspire to be president will be younger than who can aspire
to be governor or senator.
What kind of selfishness?
In fact,
what kind of selfishness rules the hearts of these people?
Of these National Assembly members.
I wrote it here. And I was
Please,
What's going on?
Jide, and please don't refer to them as these people.
These people in the National Assembly.
That it's a complete sentence.
What's going on? What's going on? Because this is illogical.
Sometimes
editor, you have to note that the National Assembly is Saraki's, the Senate is Saraki's Senate. So I usually call it this Saraki Senate.
The issue is, by the time that thing was presented to the president, they had
Tampered with
it. And now the question is, why? I'm interested in why they felt that the person who becomes president should be younger.
The president should have actually, returned it.
Okay. Time is a master on this
Maybe
show. We must
doesn't
go on
want to
this
cause
broke. Did I say broke now? Come on, you folks are.
Broke or break. Okay. You have a way with words. Maybe you'll tell us what to mean later.
All right, then we'll go on this break and come back. But tell you this, still to come, Senate attacks former INEC boss Jega over bribery accusation. You want to say? Let's take you to the National Assembly. Now, only a corrupt mind will fall for an open bribe, but then it takes two to effect a bribe. Consider this: if lawmakers in our country refused to bribe and be bribed, would the electorate not be less insulted and molested by injustice? Former INEC boss Professor Atahiru Jega the other day raised the national blood pressure when he leveled a bribery allegation against members of the National Assembly. In a swift reaction, the miffed Red Chamber fired back, asking the professor of political science to prove the allegation, daring him to name and shame. Is everybody ready for this box office drama?
Yeah.
You see,
We're waiting.
I really don't know what they stand to achieve. We all know that in that National Assembly, bribery is rampant. We all know that in that National Assembly, budget padding is rampant. Even when this guy, Jibrin, had this problem, he said all of those things. And I remember Jibrin saying that many of them respected Tambuwal, because Tambuwal will never have any meeting with civil servants. This, PAMSEX and heads
During
of
their oversight,
ministries. Yes, he will not want to have anything to do with them. But we know that the level of bribery that goes on during a budget presentation, budget defense and all that is horrendous. I remember the former Minister of Transport, Yusuf Suleiman, the Sokoto Prince. He made a habit of going to defend budget by himself. Budget of parastatals under his ministry. he offered to do the defense by himself. So the senators were like, look, it is your guys that we want.
Yeah.
We don't want you. But he knew that his own guys would not be able to handle them. And this is a very stubborn Sokoto man. So he made up his mind that I will be the one to face you people. Do you know that the Senate, and I remember at that time, the Senate ad hoc committee led by the man who is now Minister of Agric, Heineken Lokpobiri, wrote,
Minister of State.
Yes, Minister of State, wrote to the IG to arrest Yusuf Suleiman because he didn't allow his juniors to come and defend the budget. You know, say, I'm the minister. The budget of these parastatals were prepared together with me, so I'm ready to defend.
Yeah.
But they said, no, it has to be those people that will come. I used to have a friend in the House of Reps. I thought he was going to give me a scoop about one of the agencies of government. So I was ready. This will be a breakthrough story for me. So I started calling him at a point. He stopped picking my call. I said, you can't do this. Well, give me this story. Let me go to town with this story. He said, no, Jide, those guys,
you hear your friend?
No, you can't do it. They have begged me, this and that. So I was trying to reach another lawmaker.
Friend.
I now saw clearly that
It's a
I
network.
was not going to succeed because the guy said, no, those guys, we had a short meeting with those guys.
We have
They said,
reconciled.
we have
Reconciled.
those issues, the misunderstanding. Have we all forgotten what happened on October 7, 2003, when El-Rufai, who is governor of Kaduna State now, accused Mantu and Jonathan Zingwina of demanding for bribe from him? Abi, we are not that forgetful as Nigerians.
We're not.
So
Have
there is a
have
history
you
of bribe
forgotten-
taking.
Sir, have you also
right,
forgotten, you know, how the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, in his third term agenda...
Even before then.
Have you forgotten all of this?
But I was there.
The
really
National
third term.
Assembly...
No, go.
Yes.
I'm
The-
just,
the-
It never materialized. But there
It
was
never
an attempt.
materialized.
Okay.
It's a huge attempt.
Yeah, I know, you see, in that case, they didn't demand for bribe. It was the one who
offered to them.
offered to them.
We are
Yeah.
talking about these people asking you for bribe because that's what the professor said, that they will demand for bribe.
And
You know?
taking the constitution.
and he targeted committee chairmen
Yeah.
to corroborate
Because they are
what
the
he
ones who
said.
do oversight
Oversight
function.
function. Yeah.
They are the ones.
Now here, Senator Issa Misau,
Misau.
I take an exception to it and want Professor to mention those involved in doing so. We can be upright in the fight against corruption in this country.
If
You
there
are,
is-
you are not persuaded.
If there is anybody that will talk, it shouldn't be Misau.
But he raised the motion.
You know, this is Nigeria.
When he accused the IG,
IG
of
of
collecting
collecting
bribe,
bribe.
totaling 120 billion. Did he mention names? Did he mention the names of the people who gave the
It's
IG
just
bribe?
funny. You know,
He was not asked to.
So,
no, he was asked to.
He was asked to provide.
He was
proof.
asked to provide.
and he was quick to
person.
accuse
So that's
the
why
IG.
I'm surprised.
But he was
you
not,
know,
he's not ready to defend his
hold on.
colleagues in the National
Brilliant.
Assembly.
So that's why I was surprised when it was Issa Misau that came. I mean, that made that statement.
Sorry, you people you have excited David in Lagos. Lagos, David, please feel welcome. Yes, David.
Oh, David is gone.
gone.
So,
Better luck next
so
time, yeah.
many of them, it goes back to what Babajide said earlier. They will not tell you, just like it is on us as journalists, we don't talk about our sources. They will not, but in our own case, it's not corruption. It's just ethical. They will not tell you who and who is involved in corruption ring.
Would you support Professor Jaga naming to shame?
Well, it doesn't have to, except maybe
People have named senators, House of Reps members who took money from them in the past. What happened? The woman at SEC, Aruma Ote,
Okay, Aruma Ote.
named
exactly,
the House of Reps
yeah.
members who demanded
Herman
Hembe. What happened? Did they suspend them? Did they punish them?
Nothing will happen.
Today, again, still quoting Misau, he says, I'm a member of the West African Parliament. I got into Parliament and I was asked, what we heard, is it true?
You should have confessed to them.
You must come to equity must come with clean hands. Misao has placed himself about 3 months ago in the front burner of of a senator who actually accused the IG, sitting IG, of being corrupt in his way, in his manner, in the way he's running the Nigerian police force. And at that particular point in time, he sought the help of his members. Now, when the house to which he belongs is now under threat, he's now trying to turn another way around. Is he trying to tell us that he has never experienced it? Look, before the third term, I know of a sitting governor today who confessed to me that he was not given the 50 million because they told him that you are from the Southwest. How can you ask for this 50 million? Yes, he told me, he confided in me. So it was not, most senators from the Southwest were not given 50 million.
The man, they hear you now.
Yes, you could hear me now, but you didn't know, I didn't mention his name. But then, before the third term thing, we are all witnesses, right from the time Okadibo was there, we are all witnesses to the fact that Ghana must go by a common face in the National Assembly.
It was a common thing.
I think the National Assembly, they are just trying to embark on ego trip to defend something that is indefensible. Because 2 weeks ago, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala admitted that 17 billion naira was added to the budget, was demanded before the 2015. Even though she came out later to say that it was not a bribe, but she has not been able to convince or to use a word to describe the meaning of that 17 billion outside the constituency allowance that was voted for the members of the National Assembly. Because she said that she queried them that, Shebi, you have constituency allowance. Why are you asking for another 17 billion? So she's now unable to give us a definition of the meaning of that.
They claim that they decided that they should give them that money so that they can
go and fix.
execute projects.
Process.
You see, it's just another name for
bribe.
We know what they are.
I'm wondering why she is divulging these now, even as she's telling you and I that fighting corruption is dangerous.
Yes, it's you see, the information that the woman has provided is good. We know the kind of people in the National Assembly. Now, honestly, if you ask me, if young people really want to change the system, want our politics to change and improve, it is that National Assembly that they should be targeting. Because a lot of the things that we have seen... It's the heartbeat. We can't defeat corruption unless we walk through the National Assembly. Many good things that should happen in our country have been held back by the actions of people in the National Assembly.
Let me take Daudu. He's here. I greet you. Welcome. Good evening. Daudu, are we in business?
It's not on.
No luck. Let's go.
You know?
Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
Welcome.
Yeah, you're talking about the bribery and corruption allegation.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah,
Yes. Go on.
Go ahead, Daudu.
Hello?
Hello?
You are on. Ignore the hold back.
I can hear you. So currently you're talking about corruption allegation.
Ignore the hold back on your phone. Just go on.
All right. What I'm saying is that the corruption allegations we're talking about started from the word sponsoring the bill on National Assembly.
Yes.
So talk about sponsoring the bill. That word, sponsoring the bill, means that they contribute, they bribe the National Assembly, each other bribe each other before they sponsor the bill. You understand what I'm saying?
That's right.
Hello?
Yeah,
We
go
can
ahead.
hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I said National Assembly.
We got you first time.
Hello?
All right. Oh, we got you. But my question, Boyega, is it what he just said?
Saying that, which means that all those privately sponsored
That's
bills,
what this emanated.
there must
People are
be-
PAMs
interested.
must be.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure.
That's the
Yeah.
point that
They are
says-
mentioned on the plenary.
No, how does it
Before they-
work? Because
I didn't know
that's
how
what
it
it
works.
means.
I'll give you a personal experience too. My colleague said here, I know of a minister who told me too that, when he was nominated, for a ministerial position, and he said he was looking for money. Looking for money for what? He said, I need a lot of money to
pass through the screening.
To pass through the screening.
Lobby.
to get oversighted.
I was shocked. No, a lot is happening here.
We're not being realistic.
How can you
Why
be
should you
shocked?
be shocked?
That means little things shock you.
Yes, no.
Why should you be shocked? It's the normal thing.
It's so, you know.
Look, if you don't do it, your friends will do it for you.
You will do it-
Your
you will
friends
do it on
who
your
need
behalf.
you to be in that position, they on their own, they will go and look for money and reach out to these
To
people.
this guy.
If you have friends among them, they will
the
confess to
National
you.
Assembly.
So all kinds of people are in the National Assembly.
We shouldn't, you know, be shy to talk about it. That place is filled with mostly, you know, dangerously corrupt
You know,
individuals.
Tunde, it takes us to the first subject we treated just now, not too young to run. When you hear things like even the younger ones, sabi chop more bribe, it doesn't scare you.
Well, I'm not scared because the process to which they involve bribe. If in secondary school, your parents have to pay your way in order to get the correct questions, and you pass. And when you write JAMB, you have to pay your way.
They have special centers and so on.
special centers and when you get to the
They call it Odu Wayek, Odu
and
JAMB.
by the time you graduate, they do a lot of things. The only thing they cannot help you to do is to do the work. But the means that if you can skate through WAEC and skate through JAMB and you get to the university, you have been inducted in the proper way,
Hall of Shame.
developing bribery and corruption.
Even to get into the National Assembly, to be nominated, and then to get through the primaries, you will bribe party leaders.
Like hell.
If party leaders don't like you, you will not succeed. They will pick someone else
Even after
against
your
you.
bribe.
You must bribe the
I
party
hear
leaders.
sometimes they
You
collect
know,
this money.
That's why when these people get to the National Assembly, they are ruthless in looking for money.
I think conversely, there's something that we have to...
Do you remember what happened? The EFCC had to recover so much money from some National Assembly members who paid so much to party leaders, yet they didn't get the tickets.
All right, I
They
hear
recovered billions.
I hear we must cross over. But then, lastly, let me quote Misal for the last time. Eminent stakeholders in the country must be restrained in their comments.
Oh, they should
Well,
not be restrained.
I think if the members of the Hallowed Chambers too are eminent people, they should be responsible and responsive enough to the name that the Nigerian generality has given them. They should do something about that name.
It should not try to intimidate
prohibit us.
anybody.
They should also
They
be
will not be
responsible
restrained. They
enough
will keep
by
saying the
leading
truth.
up to the fact that that place is the Hallowed Chamber.
Nigerians will keep talking.
Okay, then.
No restraints.
We'll go on this break and come back, getting more interesting. Okay, then, welcome back. I hear we have to properly take this subject matter home. Jide, finally, Swingina says, sorry, not Swingina, I'm sorry. Issa Misau, he says his privileges were breached with the alleged comment, which was beamed live around the world, which is saying they are aware that whatever happens, goes on in this country, can be seen across the world.
Yes, that's more reason the senators and the House of Reps members must clean up their acts. Because if individual sponsoring bills must grease your palm before bills get mentioned on the floor of plenary, then it's unfortunate. People know these things. We know that we have a problem with bribery and corruption in our country, and it's at every level, So, but they need to do their best to stop this. Stop this. You stop taking money from people to do your work. Oversight functions, if you truly love your country, go and do your oversight functions without demanding for money from civil servants and other corrupt people. Just do your work if you truly love your country. But that's not what is happening.
Benga, former Anambra governor, Peter Obi said, anybody who is governor and steals must have something wrong with his head. And that's when he mentioned that the office of First Lady at the state takes 2 billion naira. Did you hear that? So,
Yeah, but I think
no less so, members of the National Assembly.
Well, I think the man is just being, truthful. We may not be partakers of all these largesse, but we know that
No, it's going on.
we know it's going on.
All right.
You understand? We are not seeing the money, physically, but you can tell. Look, somebody who was living in a 3-bedroom apartment before becoming a local government chairman, all of a sudden has properties, all over the place.
All right, okay.
Where did he get the money from?
Okay, well, we must leave this. Let the debate continue, but we tell you this. It takes two to tango, just as it takes two to effect a bribe. If you don't give, nobody takes. Yes. All right, then, the exacting Boko Haram rebellion continues to steal the headlines for all the wrong reasons, but when the satanic group inflicts a heavy pain on law-abiding citizens and our fighting troops, it melts our collective souls. The news that the Nigerian army lost 5 of its troops in an ambush in the Predang Bitter Road in Borno State on Thursday must serve as a new wake-up call to the near chronic danger that it is becoming. But the cheering news element in the dispiriting story is the retaking of 5 villages from the grip of the insurgents in Borno State. However, in the increasingly lawless burning Buhari local government area of Kaduna State, bandits, we are told, kidnapped 25 passengers along the burning Buhari-Funtua road yesterday. We're still in the vortex.
Honestly, I wonder when we'll get out of the vortex of insecurity. And it appears to be getting worse, especially in the burning Buhari area. It appears to be getting worse. The governor of Kaduna State said there is a press that is magnifying issues. But if things are happening, you don't expect us to not talk about it. If we choose not to talk about the killings in Buhari, then we are conscienceless journalists. And no matter what the governor says, we will continue to talk about this until the insecurity is fixed, until that problem is fixed. The people have demanded that that highway must be policed. Just last week, they kidnapped about 42 persons on that highway. Before then, 87 people kidnapped on that highway. The bandits are just running riot in the Buhari area.
Without anybody.
And it appears the chief of army staff went there and read the riot act to soldiers. But it's like the soldiers are powerless. So this is the situation. The people, those bandits must be dealt with. They must stop the reign of terror in Buhari and even Zamfara. We must stop it. The president received 2 ambassadors last week, yesterday, and he was telling, they were telling him that they were ready to support Nigeria, help the Nigerian army. The Serbian ambassador said, look, we are ready to help your country. Wherever help is, whether it is in form of technology, equipment, or even men, boots on ground. Yeah. I think that we should ask for help because this is getting embarrassing.
Boyga, when we say a governor of a state is the chief security officer, beyond collecting security votes, what are we talking about?
It simply means that, he has the responsibility to secure lives and property of the people. But when you now have a state where almost on a daily basis we're, seeing headlines in front, screaming on newspapers, kidnap, killing, torching of houses, especially in this axis, something is really, really wrong. And it's very unfortunate when we talk as journalists and people tend to misunderstand the feeling. I don't have a family there, so why should I be talking about it? But I have to talk about it because I'm a human being, and human soul is very important to me. I mean, you're killing people. Some bandits are killing people. I cannot go to sleep with my 2 eyes closed, because I've got a conscience, like he said. So, yeah. Death is very key for anybody that calls himself a journalist. Because I was taught, if you have a big story and you have a story of, death, that big story, waits for that soul that was lost. Yeah. But it appears that in Nigeria, we're not even bothered about that anymore.
It's no longer front-page news anymore.
Because no the impression is created that death here is very cheap.
It's very cheap here now.
Tunde,
I'm sorry, sir. You see the way CNN and the rest of them and the way they...
Even if it's just 8 persons
eight people killed for the whole day
world.
and half of the second day.
Yeah.
CNN will do no other story.
They'll kill 40 people here in Nigeria, nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen.
When we talk about it, they will say, oh, it's the press that is making noise.
It's unfortunate.
Today, but the cheering news here is Nigerian soldiers have recaptured some villages occupied by these Boko Haramers. Tells you it can be done.
Well, it could be done if there is a sincerity of purpose. Yesterday, today, I just read in the news about the comment of the National Security Advisor that the service chiefs, they were no more attending meetings, nor listening to his advice. So it means something is wrong with our security architecture, right from the president and commander-in-chief. He has to do something about it. If the service chiefs are no more answerable, or no more listening,
and the NSA is the
clearinghouse. Is the clearinghouse for nation security. It means something is blatantly wrong. It means we have to do something. Yes, the resurgence of Boko Haram means that we have gone to sleep with the
little
activity
success
of the herdsmen. Because the moment the herdsmen moves in, we hear less about Boko Haram. But the moment we now shift attention to herdsmen, then Boko Haram gain an upper hand, they regroup and overpower their people. And it means that at any point in time, they are always ready. They are organizationally ready and prepared than our military.
More than we think.
More than we think. They are organizationally ready and prepared, which means that something has to happen. More so with the news, the declaration today by the National Security Advisor. We don't have to take it.
I think that what that man said is a pointer to the fact that we have problems.
Sorry, Jide, let me take additional. He's here in Lagos. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening to Babajide and the clerks in the studio.
We greet you.
The topic currently on the issue of Boko Haram, the terrorists. I want to quickly say that for terrorists to thrive, it's standing on 3 prongs of principles. You need to deal with the sponsors, the combatants, and the sympathizers. Now, if Babajide will agree with me, since the concept of this Boko Haram came in and we have been battling it, we have these people as a sponsor. The sponsors have not been, we have not had a key sponsor arrested and tried. And that is one. And then the sympathizers, I mean those who know them, these people are not spirits. And until we take the bull by the horn, it's not a difficult situation. It's not a situation that is hopeless. Yeah. And until the citizens are involved, and every answer is on them to make sure that this terrorist is out of the way.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Boyga, you know, the sponsors.
A very good one.
We have said here several times. But until we get the sponsors.
But you keep saying it. Yeah. Because if you asphyxiate, if you choke the source, the supply source.
Yeah, it's a very good one. I mean, incidentally, we've talked about it, even on this program several times. But it's a good one that Nigerians themselves are now, having a very thorough understanding on how this sort of issue can be dealt with. We need to go after the sponsors of Boko Haram. If you watch carefully what happened in the Middle East, when America is trying to quell insurgency, they usually, do on the field, on the battlefield, and they also go after all of these people, like the Multada al-Sada, go after this one, go after that one, and make sure that these guys who are...
And the source of funding.
And the source of funding.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why you have imposition of... the sanctions here and there, just to block leeway, for money.
Quickly, in bearing this, Boko Haram started like child's play in 2002, and nothing was done.
That's why I blame these politicians. They were using those guys. They were using them as foot soldiers. And from being foot soldiers to politicians, they transformed into a terrorist group. And our response was not strong enough. Well, if we had nipped them in the bud at the beginning, it won't be in the messy situation.
And I think at a time like this, I cannot but think of a country like Israel, America, and so on.
Because Israel popularized the phrase preemptive strike.
Preemptive
Strike before you strike.
All right, we can't preempt this one. You know, one of the most daunting, if not unnerving jobs on the planet must be that of manager of the richest football club on the planet. Zinedine Zidane, Zizou for short, is no stranger to the Madrid soccer crazy population. He has, in a manner of speaking, been to the mountaintop as a player for both club and country. After being in the shadow of Italian sweat merchant Carlo Ancelotti as assistant manager, Zizou was no doubt in pole position to take over as manager of Real Madrid, who they call the Los Blancos. After a seeming unassailable record with the Spanish outfit, Zidane feels it's time to go.
Yes, it was a very good decision that he took, because what else has he not won? And,
what's there to prove again?
What's there again to prove? And you know, you always learn from what happened to your predecessors. Real Madrid had a coach who won 2 Champions League trophies in 3 years. Del Bosque, Vincent Del Bosque.
Yeah.
Do you know that they eventually told him to go? In 3 years, he won 2 European titles. Then they told him to go after he won the second one. Then he became the coach of the Spanish national team, won the European Cup, European Nations Cup, and won the World Cup. Zidane has won 9 trophies in 3 years. What has he not won? He played 149 games and won 104. He's been in 8 finals and won all 8 finals, unlike Jurgen Klopp, who gets to finals and doesn't win. He has won 3 Champions League.
It is the team. Not
He has won 3 Champions League. You know, 3 Champions League trophies, 2 FIFA Club World Cup.
Back to back.
Yes, 3 Champions League trophies, back to back. 2 FIFA Club World Cup, 2 UEFA Super Cup, 1 La Liga, 1 Spanish Super Cup, and he has not had any major signing. Since he joined the club, he has not bought big. You know, Mourinho will go to a club and buy big players and all that. Since he got to that club, he has not bought any big player. He has decided to work with the players of the youth team that he used to coach and the players that he inherited. And he has won everything. So what is there to prove again? The best thing is to leave. Leave when the ovation is loudest. Yeah. When the former coach of Morocco, who took Morocco to the 1986 World Cup, the Brazilian Jose Faria.
Oh, yeah.
When they took Morocco to the second round of the World Cup, he became a Muslim. He naturalized, became a Moroccan. The king of Morocco was very happy with him. He was a hero everywhere he went. And he was saying, what I have achieved in many years, no African country will achieve it. He was a hero. And then Morocco hosted the African Nations Cup. And Cameroon defeated Morocco in the quarterfinal. What happened? They fired him. So this is the nature of football. Just quit. I'm very certain that if, after winning this trophy 3 back-to-back, if Zidane should remain and he doesn't win the league in this oncoming season, they will fire him.
Boyga, the question is, what would this mean for Ronaldo, Bale, Ramos, Navas, and co?
Well, the Captain Ramos said, you know, in his Twitter handle, which he did in Spanish and in English, that it was a very shocking one, sad as it were, but that he's very happy for the man quitting when he's at the top.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good one for him.
So
like you said.
the mark of the man is knowing when to apply the brakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing
The ovation is loudest.
when the ovation is loudest. And he also did one interesting thing about it, you know, because reporters were thinking that it would, it's because he wants to go to some other club or there's some other clubs in the offing. He said no, that there is no consideration.
From there is a national team now.
He said there is no consideration at all for any club side. That he took the decision and he felt the decision was the best for him. And I believe that it's going to be national side.
You always say, oh, he's not a good coach. He's not this.
It's not this, it's not that.
Because he's not one of the popular coaches that the world knows.
Exactly.
What he has achieved. He's already a legend. He's already a legend.
Nothing more to prove.
Nothing more
to prove.
Tunde, you are hoping that back home we are drawing lessons, lessons, important lessons.
Well, I think, Iya said, good generals, they know when to quit, because not generals don't win all the war. When you know that you got to the Battle of Waterloo, you may be disgraced. So it's rather you pull your troops back and you adopt another strategy. He has thrown a challenge to other coaches and other countries that when you know that you have tried your best, allow others to come in. Perhaps their list may be better than your best. And I think in Nigeria too, our football managers, because I believe Nigerian football took a low dive about 20 years ago. Our football managers, they don't want to leave the scene. They don't want to leave the scene.
Look at the supporters club.
They are there.
Don't even talk about that. Don't talk about that one.
Nigerian supporters club has been there probably for 40 years.
For 40 years.
The
man has been there.
One person.
One person.
Only the 40. So what new things do you think Nigerian football can be of value to Nigerian Football Federation when the same person has been headsman of the football for 20 years? So we can never have any...
Let's bury it, Jide. And you ask yourself, in the 21st century, we live in a country where the FA chairman, easy, gentlemen, the FA chairman must be from a particular region, the secretary from the region, and the minister, and so on.
Everything.
And the sports, our sports, we used to be up there.
Yes.
Are going down.
Our sports are going down. In the past, in Africa, nobody could contest the short sprints with Nigeria.
Oh, yeah.
In the past, among the top 10 100 meters runners in the world, you will find at least 3 Nigerians.
Yeah.
Davison, Ezinwa, Osmond Ezinwa, Olapade Adeneke, Chidimo. You will find all of them world class. The Jalou even came much later. I'm talking about those guys from 1984. You know, world class athletes. But what do we have today? We don't have world class athletes anymore. We don't have world class athletes anymore. Before the major tournaments, you see our this Shakiri girl will do well.
No.
But when the tournament comes, she won't be among the medals.
Yeah.
So we really need to overhaul our sports. Selfishness is killing our sports. Look at basketball. They are fighting over the chairmanship of the National Basketball Federation.
And so on and so on.
For so long.
Gentlemen, the trouble...
Okagbari, I wanted to say Okagbari.
Okay,
Yes.
Blessing.
Blessing Okagbari.
There's a third name. Okagbari is somebody. I think she's married.
She's married now.
Okay, all right. You know, for me, a Friday, I have a problem with a Friday. It's too close to a Monday. You know, but again,
It
we
depends
must...
on what you want to do with that
Saturday
day.
and Sunday.
It depends on what you want to do with that. If you just want to go home and rest, like
It will be good. It will be
48 hours.
I'm going to... We must
But
be
I trust Citizen John will not
you
go
are not
home.
going home
No,
immediately.
I'm going home.
On the Friday evening.
But that will just about do it. Let me thank Tunde Abaton. Thanks for coming. Boyega Akoshile. Many
You're
thanks.
welcome,
And
sir.
of course, Jide, I greet you.
I greet you.
Enjoy your weekend. Send the bills to us. Okay then, that's it. But watch a repeat broadcast of this particular episode on other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. The feedback channel is, as always, journalist hangout at tvcnews.tv. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now. May God bless us.